Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I recently took my camera with me on a fly fishing trip, and as Murphy would have it, I ended up taking an unintentional swim with it. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the steps I'm taking to try to bring my camera back from the dead. So I think it's been 4 weeks now since my last video, and in that time the channel has surpassed 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. So thank you for watching and subscribing. During that time, I also took a few trips. The first trip was out to Colorado to photograph the wildflowers. Unfortunately, I had mostly bluebird skies and wind gusts of over 40, which are tough conditions to shoot wildflowers. But I did find enough lulls in the wind to get 1 or 2 shots I'm happy with. The other trip was with my 2 sons and is the trip that prompted this video. So we went on a quick fly fishing trip up to Arkansas, and on the first day, as we're wading across the river, I get a bright idea to snap a photo of them. So I pulled out my Fuji, it's an X100V, I snapped the photo, and as I'm turning around, I slipped on a rock, the current swept my feet out from under me, and away we went. The camera and I were underwater probably no more than 10 seconds, but when I pulled it out, it was dead, no longer working. So I didn't want to take away from our experience on the river, so I just packed my camera away. We ended up having a great time that day, caught lots of trout, so not all was lost, but I knew my camera was more than likely toast. So 2 days later, when we got back home, I started the process of trying to resurrect my camera from the dead. Hopefully, if you're finding this video and you have a waterlogged camera, you're starting this process much sooner than I did. Okay, so before we get started, I just gotta say that this is not my first rodeo trying to bring electronics back from the dead. I once had a fully charged flash that went for a swim in a saltwater swimming pool. Fortunately, I was able to start these steps immediately after retrieving the flash from the pool, and I'm still using the flash today. So I know these steps can work. However, of course, they're not guaranteed. You got to have a little bit of luck going for you as well. So anyways, let's get started. So the first thing you need to do when the camera comes out of the water is to turn it off. Remove the battery and all memory cards. Of course, if the camera was just splashed with water, then it's likely okay. What I'm talking about here is full submersion in the water and the camera comes out completely dead. So in my case, after I resurfaced from the river, I removed the battery and SD card from the camera and stored them in my backpack. I knew the camera was dead because it was on when it went into the river and not functioning at all when it came out. So this next step is a bit counterintuitive, but is very important, especially if your camera went swimming in salt water. During this rinsing step, we're trying to remove any salts and other minerals from the camera's electronics. If these minerals are allowed to dry, they can cause some serious damage to your camera. So here's what you're gonna need. You're gonna need a large bowl that's big enough so that your camera can be fully submerged into the water. And you're gonna need distilled water, which is free of any minerals. You're gonna pour the distilled water into the bowl. You're gonna grab your camera, remove the lens. Your battery and your memory card should already be out. And then you're gonna place your camera into the bowl for no longer than 5 seconds and make sure it's fully submerged. This is gonna hopefully rinse away any minerals that are on your electronics. In my case, the river water had already dried in the cameras by the time I got to it. So I removed the bottom plate and I used a turkey baster with some distilled water to gently spray the electronics to kind of hopefully wash away some of the mineral deposits that were on there. I have no idea if this is actually going to work, but I had nothing else to lose. But After I used the turkey baster, I then placed it in the bowl, fully submerged for 5 seconds, and then pulled it back out. For this next step, you're gonna need a Ziploc bag that's big enough for your camera, of course, and silica gel packs, which look like this. You can use rice instead of these, but from my experience using rice with my flash, it got dust everywhere, and you really don't want to get dust inside your camera and on your sensor if you don't have to. I put an affiliate link down in the description for these particular silica gel packs that I really like. They're not expensive, they can be reused multiple times. I also use them where I store my photography equipment, so I have quite a few laying around. But you're going to want to place these silica gel into the Ziploc bag, and then grab your camera. In this case, I have my filter and my lens hood off the X100. But if you have a detachable lens, of course, you're not going to put it on. You're going to keep it off. The battery should already be removed, as well as any memory card. I took the bottom plate off the camera in this case, and so it's kind of like a last ditch effort. But you want to open up all doors on the camera and then place it in the Ziploc bag. When you're sealing it up, try to get as much air out of it as possible. Seal it up, and then you got to move to step 4, which is the hardest step. So this last step is the hardest, but it is very important, and you need to wait. You need to wait at least a week before trying to turn your camera back on. And the longer you wait, the better. I waited, I think, close to 6 weeks before trying to turn my flash back on. It was a SB600, actually it still is, it still works. It went swimming a month or so after I bought it, which was, I believe, in 2003. So 20 years later, and it's still working with no issues at all. This time around with my camera, I'm going to wait 2 weeks. I'm then going to check it for any kind of moisture. If I see any hint of moisture, I'm going to replace the gel packs, zip it back up again, and wait some more. So here's a recap of all the steps. Step number 1, turn the camera off and remove the battery and memory cards. Step number 2, rinse the camera in distilled water. Step number 3, place the camera in a Ziploc bag with silica gel packs. Step number 4, wait at least a week. So I'm giving this camera about a 40% chance of coming back to life, given that the river water was able to dry on it before I could start working on it. If you're quick to follow these steps, however, you're going to have much better odds of resurrecting your camera from the dead. I wish you luck, and I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. Also, let me know down in the comments if you have any additional tips, and I'd also love to hear about your success stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.